Hello everyone, my name is Eva Sarachan. I am a theatrical, stage combat choreographer, and a sword fighting fitness instructor. And today I'm going to be teaching you some basic sword fighting moves. So if you would like to go ahead and get a stick, a kitchen spoon, a pen, anything you have lying around and follow along with me, we'll be going over some moves for about the next 10 minutes. I'm going to be focusing on my dominant side today. I'm right-handed, so you'll see me refer to dominant side and non-dominant side. So if you're left-handed, you can be using your left hand with your sword and your left foot as your foot that's forward. Or if you're right-handed, you can use your right hand with your sword and your right foot pointed forward. Let's get started by going in our on guard position. So I'm going to have my dominant foot pointed straight forward, right at my opponent. I'm going to have my other foot at about a 45-degree angle to my dominant foot, with my foot also pointed at about a 45-degree angle. It doesn't have to be perfectly in that position, but you don't want it completely pointed towards the wall or completely pointed forward. You just want it comfortably at your side. I'm going to have my arm extended forward. My hand is in a neutral position. It's not pronated with my palm face down or supinated with my palm faced up. My palm is pointed towards the wall. And I'm going to have my other hand just up. You can have it all the way up if you want to be fancy. You can have it on your hip, or you can just have it up. It's just so that it's up and ready in case you have a sword coming towards you that you need to grab. All right, now that we are in our on guard position, we're going to learn some footwork. So I'm going to advance and go forward and retreat and go backwards. To advance, we're going to pick up our front foot, take a step forward, and our back foot follows, making sure we land nicely in our on guard position again. Let's do that again. I'm going to take a step with my front foot and my back foot follows. Now to retreat or to go backwards, I'm going to pick up my back foot, take a step back, and my front foot follows. Again, landing nicely in my on guard position, making sure my legs are still bent, my foot is still pointed forward towards my opponent. Let's retreat again. I'm going to take a step back with my back foot and my front foot follows. To have a little bit more momentum going forward and going backwards, I can use the opposite foot to propel myself forward. So if I'm trying to quickly go forward, I can use my back foot to give me a little bit of momentum forward. Or to go back, I can use my front foot to give myself some propelling action backwards. And then I can move much more swiftly forward and backwards towards my opponent. So let's just practice that for just a moment. We're going to go ahead and advance or go forward, retreat and go backwards, advance and go forwards, retreat, retreat and go backwards, advance, retreat, advance, retreat, advance, retreat. And that's the basic sword fighting footwork that you need to learn to start sword fighting. Now that we have that locked in, let's go ahead and learn some defense positions. I'm going to teach you 4 main defense positions today to protect your left and right side on the lower line of your body and the upper line of your body. So again, I'm right dominant. So first I want to protect my non-dominant side on my left side. So I'm going to move my hand like I'm checking my watch, and my sword is pointed straight down, with my hand just sort of loosely gripping my sword. You don't want to death grip it. You just want to have a good handle on it, but you want it pretty loose in your hand. Then, to protect the right lower line of your body, you're going to push your sword to the side on your right side. My tip is going to slightly be pointed towards my opponent, and I'm protecting my dominant lower line of my body. Then I'm going to do a little bit of a semicircle around, again with my tip just slightly pointed towards my opponent. And this is protecting the right upper line of my body, or my dominant upper line of my body. Then I'm going to push my sword to my left, or to my non-dominant side, and this is going to be protecting the upper non-dominant line of my body. So let's go through that one more time. I'm going to start by protecting my lower non-dominant line of my body by checking my watch and making sure my sword is pointed straight down. Then I'm going to push my sword to the side with my tip slightly pointed towards my opponent on my lower dominant line of my body. Then I'm going to semicircle around with my sword again pointed slightly towards my opponent on my upper dominant line of my body. Then I'm going to push my sword towards my non-dominant line with my sword again pointed slightly towards my opponent on the upper non-dominant line of my body. A couple things to note. When I go from my lower line to my upper line, my hand is still staying in the same place. I'm not pushing my sword up, forcing my partner to go closer to my face, and I'm not pushing my sword down, forcing my opponent to go closer to my knees. I want to make sure I'm protecting just around the t-shirt area on my upper line and just around my hip area on my lower line, because I teach stage combat and I don't want people to actually have swords going towards their faces. All right, let's do it one more time. So we're going to protect our lower non-dominant line of our body by checking our watch and having the sword be pointed straight down. I'm gonna push my tip over to my dominant side with my tip slightly towards my opponent, making sure to protect my hip on my lower dominant line of my body. I'm going to semicircle around, protecting my t-shirt line on my upper dominant side of my body. Then I'm going to push my sword to my non-dominant side, protecting my t-shirt line on the upper non-dominant side of my body. And those are the 4 main defense positions in beginner sword work. So now that we know footwork and defense positions, we can finally learn everyone's favorite and learn how to attack. I'm going to be teaching how to cut at my partner today. Again, because we're doing stage combat, our areas, our attack are going to be that t-shirt line on the upper line and the hips at the lower line. And we're making sure our tips end right on the side of our partner. We're not trying to actually cut our partner right in the chest, because we're doing it really safely for stage combat. So to do upper level attacks, we are going to cut towards our invisible partner. You can pretend your partner is around the same height as you, and you're going to have your tip land right to the side of where their invisible t-shirt line would be. So if someone was trying to attack me, their tip would be ending right about there on me. So I'm trying to protect their t-shirt line on my left side. Then I'm gonna semicircle my blade around. I'm bringing my blade up because I don't want to cut through my invisible partner's face. And then I'm cutting towards their other t-shirt line on my right side. So then you can practice this little wrist movement going in both directions, bringing your blade all the way to the side towards the wall, cutting towards your partner, bringing your blade back pointed towards the wall, semicircling it around, and doing that a couple times. And it's the same on the lower line. you're going to have your blade pointed right at the wall, right at your hip level. You're going to cut towards your invisible partner's hip, making sure your blade lands right about there. And then you're going to bring your blade back so that the tip is pointed at the wall again. Semicircle it around and cut on the other side. And you can just practice that motion a couple of times. And those are the 4 main cutting attacks in basic sword fighting. Then we can bring it all together. So I'm really going to challenge you to follow along with me. So we're going to call our defense positions 1 for our lower line on our non-dominant side, 2 for our lower line on our dominant side, 3 for our upper dominant side, and 4 for our upper non-dominant side. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you forget, it's okay. Just protect your lower line or your upper line. All right, so let's start in our on guard position. And we are going to advance and cut our partner's upper t-shirt line. Advance. Now we're going to retreat and defend our second position or our lower non-dominant line. Now we are going to advance and attack our partner's hip. Then we're going to retreat and attack and defend our number 2 defense position or our lower dominant side. And you can just practice that back and forth until you have it in your head. So yeah, my name's Eva Sarachan. Again, I'm a theatrical stage combat choreographer and a sword fighting fitness instructor. Thank you so much for having me.